Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Okay, to make this functional, I need to extend this black wire over long enough to reach over to the switch. Now this one's going to be long enough just on its own. Then the white wire needs to connect to the red wire. Now these connectors will do the job. Joining those two wires together just nicely. I'm going to slip just a little bit of this insulating material long enough to go over the top of that and seal both ends. There's that. Now slip this over this wire. And then slip that wire in the other end. Now I should be able to crimp that. Yep, that's crimped quite well. That pair of crimpers isn't my favorite. They're not really good for insulating terminals. I mean, they work, but they tend to smear it a bit. Which is why I'm using this piece of heat shrink tube to assist in covering the connection. There. Now this is a toggle on and off O-ring switch. Water resistant. They never say waterproof anymore because we all know waterproof is always relative. Depends on whose relative is doing the job, whether it works or not. So I'm going to connect this, make sure I get enough wire to make a good connection. Yep, that'll be plenty. Okay, I got the white and the red connected. Now I connect this black to that black. It's just an extension. Now this crimper is much superior. And because I'm going to have one end of the wire open, I can use it. Obviously, since the connector gets inside the thing, if I crimp it to a looped wire like this one is, then I would have it on there forever. I'd be able to crimp it really well, but I'd never be able to take my tool off. Kind of defeats the purpose. There. Now the advantage of this one is it has 4 plungers. This one relies on just one. And it crimps it down into that wedge and compresses it. This one comes in from all 4 sides and puts 4 divots on the crimp connector. Much more secure. Now this is just barely big enough to go over the top of that crimp connector, but it's big enough, and that's really all I needed. There we go. Now when I heat those 2 up, they'll cover that wire with a watertight bind. I won't have to worry about it ever again. So before I tighten this up, I'm going to make sure that I have all my wires on there and crimped up the way I want them. That's not coming loose. You know, I should make sure that I can get this on there. Because if it's too small to go over that, then I'm going to have to go to the next biggest size. Don't need much. Because the end of that wire is going to be open anyways. This just makes an extra attachment point. That's what I was afraid of. When you crimp the insulation, it can split out. And that causes the wire to not want to fit through the tube. There we go. That'll work quite well. And on this one, I'm going to slide it over the wire first, just to avoid that kind of a problem again, even though I'll probably have to clip off the plastic. Oh, I caught that one just right. I got to trim off this copper wire just a little bit. There. Now I can heat up these connections and heat that tubing and shrink it down. We'll be all good. Now the other tubing is 1/4 inch. This is 3/8. That's a little bigger. But it needs to be because it's going to be put over this and over this connection. After I get the wires tightened up, I will heat this up and that will lock this screw so it can't come loose and the wire can't come off. No more pulling the wires off of it. Okay, well, both of them are on the wire. That means they're fairly safe. They call this a dry fit. And it's to make sure that I don't get a wire that's too short to do what I need it to do. No, that's enough. That's enough wire there to do everything I need to have it done. Okay, cool. And we'll swing this around vertical and make sure I can get the top on it. Yes. There we go. Yep, enough room the switch is going to be able to be in there without getting grounded out. So now I'll pull this back out again. Make sure my insulating shrink tubing is on there far enough to do what I need it to do. Now we fit the switch into its location. Let's see if it fires up. That'll tell me if I've got it right or not. Still got a little bearing noise. give it the Louis treatment. No shake. It's got some bearing rumble to it. Well, may need bearings, but I might outlive it before it needs it. If you have any suggestions for new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, I have merch. Yeah, it's a new thing. We're going to talk about merch every once in a while. Thanks for watching. This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union, without the express written permission of the parents or legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.